follow a set of principles is to hold a set of rules to a certain standard and never stray away from those standards. Principles keep everything in line and orderly. Anyone deciding to break these principles shall be cast aside, never to be given the stage again. In animation, you are given 12 of these principles. I shall read them off to you and educate you on these standards that even the greats themselves have used. Cast aside your everyday activities, as they are but fuel for the fire of ambition. You belong to the standards now. Sleep, food, shelter are just obstacles keeping you from using these principles. We love the principles. We are the principles. We need the principles. If there is part of the object being compressed, then it is wise and universally accepted to include parts expanding as well. This will give weight and life to the subject. Many examples can be pulled from real life. Squeezing a ball is common use of these examples. When compressed, the ball will be squeezed at the points of contact. You see, these 2 points are the areas where the most compression will be shown, the squish. And the farthest most points, the stretch, is where the ball will be expanding. Anticipation gives a build to a major action. Visually, you want to treat your viewers like children. Do not have the murderer stab someone, just straight and narrow. The lack of motivation loses the audience. Have them wind up, put power into it, show emotion through it. Many things in the real world do this. Watch one of your ball team games, and you see that before the throwing of the ball, there's a wind up to the final action. Again, keeping your viewers to an elementary level of intelligence, staging shows that every pose given to a subject or object has clear intention. We can tell that this is a car, a ballerina, a murder. Having some characters' appendages stay inside the frame of their body is not ideal for clear visualization. A recommended way to practice is actually having your subject be a silhouette. If them being a silhouette, you can still tell the action being portrayed and even the emotion being portrayed, then you have great staging. These techniques are specific to the creating process of animation. Pose to pose is the process of laying out certain frames and with certain poses, and then filling out the in-betweens leading from pose to pose. This lets the scene become more livelier and more dramatic. Straight ahead is the creation of every frame after the other, giving a more fluid and realistic approach. Both techniques can be quite versatile. Not all things stop at once. If an object is moving, then stops abruptly, then the main structure will stop, but other parts of the object will continue moving for a little longer. This is follow-through. Examples like this is hair from someone's head, a cape on a superhero landing, a body in a car crash. Overlapping is the opposite of this effect. Not all things start at the same time. The classic example would be the eyes staying while the cartoonish body leaves abruptly. To add more realism, the animator may add more frames at the beginning and end of the sequence, giving a soft start and end. And to keep these as a more realistic approach to a lot of movement we see in every day. Having an object abruptly start and stop is more robotic in nature and generally does not sell a character mostly. Most actions in real life are circular. The swing of a bat, someone turning around, someone jogging out and about. You will want to almost plan an arc for every movement with a major action, whether it is an overall movement of the body or many individual movements for individual limbs. This will also help plan out the actions themselves, keeping them nice and organized. With every action, it is well known to add a secondary action to the sequence. This will enhance the scene overall, giving the subject more personality and or more complexity to their actions. Having a piece of leather flap open and close of a worn shoe exposing a toe. The bouncing motion of a hat during a walking sequence. The twitching eye of a man losing his mind to the void. Timing helps an action follow the basic laws of motion and gravity, mainly conveying the speed and weight of an object itself. Fewer frames will make the action faster while also appearing to be weightless. Adding more frames will slow down the action and convey that this object is very heavy. An obvious example would be a race, let's say between a train and a car. At first, the car will start winning, because it weighs less than the train. Over time, the train will pull ahead, because it has more power, as a result, becoming faster than the car. In conclusion, reaching its goal. This principle is about extending the action beyond human limits. This emphasizes the action and the intention being brought out. Eyes bulging out of the sockets, the body breaking itself past human-like abilities. The face changing to a crimson red when embarrassed. These are all prime examples of pushing the action to another level. Solid drawing is the ability to properly convey the 2D object within a 3D space, using perspective, proportions, and shape to help bring the subject to life within a living environment. This principle shows how your subject will act within a scene, whether it's a small area, like a car, or an open area, like an arena. All the other ones have a certain standard, an easy way to define them. But appeal, well, is a more subjective principle. It lends to the creator, bringing opportunity for them to be themselves, unique even. It is what you and the story conjure up together to see what exactly your subject will look like, act like, and sound like. After including all these other principles, or at least most of them, you come closer to recognizing what all things will be, truly creating something unique, something lovely even. Appeal. These principles are needed. That is not to be debated on. Without a solid foundation for something to be built upon, it will sink. Without that foundation for you to dig your roots in, ground and suck on the nutrients that is knowledge, you become a dying sapling, already being withheld any light pooling past the dark canopy that is the industry. A ceiling, you could say. That is why principles are good. We need the principles. And we love the principles. We are the principles. I want to thank you all for joining my session today. If you learned something, please give this video a thumbs up. If you have any complaints, compliments, or queries, please leave them down in the comments. If you want to support our teachings here, please subscribe and click that bell to be notified when the latest session is out. Lastly, remember to stay afraid and keep learning.